Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roundup here on. I forgot where we are. We haven't done this in so many weeks. I don't know what I'm doing. Welcome to the Roundup here on BloodbowlLive. Here to go through all of the week's action. Not the week's action, like month's action. We're going through the semi-finals and the finals of the A&DBBL season 9. Scott and Tom are here joining me this week to go through all of the games. I clearly can't remember how we do this. It's been so long, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. A few bits of housekeeping first. First of all, just a big thank you to everyone. We got all the games in and we got the league done all in the length of time we needed to. We didn't need to do any extensions, and all the games played and everything's great and everything has been fantastic. So thank you all for your commitment and dedication for that. A few little just shout outs. The Just Giving page for season 9 for all the money that goes towards St. Elizabeth's Hospice is still open. It was normally active for a few weeks afterwards, so it is still there. So feel free to go on and continue to donate to St. Elizabeth's Hospice. It is a fantastic cause that we've been raising money for this last season. You can tell more from Tom Hovell, slightly less from me, and even less from Scott, that we are also doing a Movember challenge, the NDP lot, and we're raising money there. We've currently raised nearly £750, and we're only 3 days in, so it's absolutely phenomenal. But if you're watching this and you would like to donate to that cause, it's we're all very very keen and very passionate to raise as much money as possible towards men's mental health and suicide prevention, and that's what Movember champions. So please, we will put the link in the YouTube version of this. We'll put the link if you want to donate to that as well. Scott, are there still mugs available?
Christopher, there are mugs available.
Fantastic. So if you want a mug, please get in contact with Scott. A proportion of the money from every single mug, again, goes towards St. Elizabeth's Hospice. So much charitable stuff that we are doing. So that is all of the initial shout outs. Let's dive in to our first game. And we're going to do this week, like we sometimes do at this point, we're going to cover the conference first. So we're going to do we're not going to do games in the game order. We're going to do the conference first, and then we're going to do the Champions Cup. So we're going to start with the first conference semi-final, which was none other than our very own Mr. Scott Bryant with a 2-1 victory for the Dark Elves Smoking a Pancake versus the Elf Preservation Society. 2-1 win, 4-1 on the casualties in this game. Scott, you can tell us a little bit. Sorry?
Casualties, 6-1. Oh, sorry, you're looking at injuries. Sorry, I was looking at injuries. Apologies. It's been too long.
We're all fresh.
When did we last do this?
I can't remember either.
Watch tour play? What did we do anyway? Yeah. Yes, thank you. Hello.
So tell us what happened in this lovely 40k matchup that you had against Mark. Scott, how did this go down? Send your mind back, however long it was.
Yeah, it was Friday night. It was a couple of weeks ago, and honestly, I think this was one of my favorite matches of the year. It was a very close thing. It was very edgy to start with. I wasn't too sure how Mark was going to play his inducements. He took an extra player, so did I. So we were pretty equal in terms of players and skills, although 2 war dancers are pretty dangerous on any given day as well. First time in my career whereby we started nicely. Mark decided that, from memory, that I think he would. Oh no, he won the kick and he elected to kick, and I would receive. I.e., he was looking to get the turn 8 drive, so therefore at least he'd get the opportunity of a 1-turn touchdown. So I had that. However, and Mark admitted he rolled and it was pouring rain. And that set the tone. It was very back and forth. It was very, very close indeed. As you can see, the first casualty didn't occur till turn 4, and after that, it was really about trying not to make the error and really trying to force your opponent to make the error. Very tactical, very close. I scored at the end of turn 8, so planned it, got the end of turn 8, and the kick meant, unfortunately, Mark wasn't in a position to make that. one turn. He was starting to suffer in terms of casualties and a couple of injuries as well, which meant at the start of the second half, if you look at when he scored his touchdown with his war dancer, it was turn 11. So Mark really went for it in terms of, I'm going to score early, get the equaliser, and then we'll see what happens as well. First time as well, then in my playing career, we had change in weather, but we had pouring rain into pouring rain. So again, it was very interesting and thank you for Luke for just clarifying, and we all agreed. Yeah, if you have pouring rain into pouring rain, the ball doesn't scatter or anything exciting like that. So that was fine. And after that, really sort of from about turn 11, managed to stay on top of it, managed to get more. And by then it was really an attritional, missed an opportunity to score. Mark held on and took it to extra time. And then really, as you look at it, sort of from turn 17 onwards, it became that war of attrition, and this is where the Dark Elves and that extra armor value really started to impact as well. And Woodies being Woodies, it was just managing them through, and I did manage it to make sure I went in, got that turn. 24 touchdown from the Prince of Ipswich himself, Mr. Dave Root. Good evening, Dave and chap. And yeah, it was a long game. It was one of those very, very tough games, but it was really enjoyable because it was a proper thinking game, if that makes sense as well. And it's been really good to see Mark embrace the madness of the Woodies. And I know he's off to the other extreme. He seems to be taking Nurgle now. But I really enjoyed playing Mark. Second match we played, both matches have been really good, very close, very tactical. So yeah, I think we've got a very good coach in the making here in the future A&DBBL seasons as well.
Tom, it's somewhat unfortunate, I think, for Mark that we're not redrafting because one of the things that I always found quite interesting about his team was that he started the season with very few positionals, lineman heavy, took the re-rolls. And when we look at his roster now, he's built some players that you would call, superstar positionals in other teams out of linemen because those were all the players he had. Looking at the dodge, sprint, block, tackle, elf lineman, that is an incredible position. It's almost unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that he's not going to be able to redraft them because of the new addition.
Yeah, absolutely. And equally, that block, dodge, leap, fend, dauntless war dancer is quite an interesting character too. You think of that against any kind of big guy, yeah, quite. And clearly he was very lucky on those randomized rolls. So yeah, it's a shame we're not going to see it. And it's very interesting. He's pivoting, as Scott said, potentially to Nurgle in the new edition. So yeah, he was by the sounds of things, I never unfortunately got to play him, but every game that we've talked about, he's already up there as one of those coaches. You're always, your heart's going to sink if you find you're going to be in the same group as him next season. He really sounds like he's a good player.
We did hype him up a lot in the preseason that we said he could be a contender for something. He got all the way to the conference semi-final. And I think for his first season playing a team that, Wood Elves can self-destruct a bit because they are a little bit glass cannon. And, getting to where he's got in what was a very tough group, I think is a really good achievement. So, Mark, very, very well done in your first season. And, looking forward to what will only be an improvement.
The other little piece I would add to that, guys, is just again to show how really impressive it was. If you look at Mark's results, especially in the first few matches, I drew against him 0-0. He lost his next 3 matches then. So in terms of his team development and curve, and we know that Woody's, like a lot of the elf teams, Delves, pro as well, unless they start like redrafted or with skills, it does take them several matches to get up to speed. So just put it in context, in terms of that development curve of the team, Mark was, I would argue, behind what you'd expect as a normal development level curve as well. So really difficult to get, hence why, you probably had to go with a few more randoms on the skill generator as opposed to selecting and really tailor building the team as you'd want. So I think that is, even more kudos to Mark if he's in chat tonight. Just I think emphasizes what a great season he's had, and hope it continues for him next season.
Well, that is Scott booking his place in the final, and his opponent was going to be decided between Snotlings or Elven Union, and the Snotlings came away with a 3-1 victory here. Blob, blob, blobby, blobby, blob, blob, getting 3-1 victory over the Greystone Gladiators, 5-1 on casualties here. And to give a bit of context on this one, you can go back and watch this one. It's one of the ones on our stream. The game started very strong for the Elven Union side. If you watch the stream, you'll see the Elven Union side getting an early touchdown, and then they remembered how dump off as a rule works. Dump off was used incorrectly, a pass that was done that was too long, that shouldn't have been done, and the coaches decided between the two of them, they decided to start the game again. They just reset up. They couldn't remember what the setup was before to kind of track back, so they started afresh. And in starting afresh, the Snotling team then immediately got a one-turn touchdown to take the lead at 1-0. Elves came back very quickly to make it 1-1, and then the casualties and the injuries started to mount up. You can see, like, by 3 players have gone by turn 5, and that doesn't include knockouts. There are, and then we get more in the sort of later in the half, second half as well. It just kept going. Tom, both of these coaches were in our group. We both played against them, and they both got here. I think something that's worth mentioning is these two coaches both finished, and I don't think they'll mind me saying, quite comfortably in the bottom 2 positions in our group, and yet they both made it through here to the semi-final and gave us a very looked like it could have gone either way until the injuries just started to mount up.
Yeah, and that's a good reason why you kind of say, well, never give up. You may find that your group stages don't go as according to plan, but this is a good example of coming through and getting all the way through to a final. Again, this weather playing a part in it. I think this is probably one of the most seasons where I've seen the most weather happening across the whole of the season. There's been quite a lot of different weather on it. You got blob, blob, blobby, blobby, blob, blob, bringing a whole load of inducements, bringing his standard giant, bringing Hackflem, but bringing the Black Gobbo as well as the riotous rookies. So it clearly was an advantage with all that kind of inducements in there. But I believe there was a couple of times where the elves were falling over themselves. I think they were failing dodges, and that was having an impact on their team as well.
I can confirm immediately checking what you said there, Tom. Looking back from season 4 all the way through to season 9, this is the season that has had the most different weather effects: 15 pouring rain, 9 blizzards, 7 sweltering heat, 7 very sunny, and it is about 8 or 9 games more than any other season that we've had, roughly. I've just done that very quickly, had a little look, but yeah, weather clearly playing a big role, sort of across the board.
Global warming.
Scott, the Greystone Gladiators had a tough group. They spent a lot of the season kind of losing a few players. They do have a strong roster there, but the trouble with Snotlings is they can cause they can have more players on the field. They can field star players. He's brought Hackflem and the Black Gobbo and a giant here. It can just be a very difficult wall to break down.
It can, Chris. We've talked about this because when we come on to talk about the championship side of the draw as well, Snotlings, whilst on paper they might appear nothing really, but as you said, with the number of bodies that they can put on the pitch, utilizing, and that is their USP, they can utilize the star players, and particularly with Phil utilizing the giant as well. So I think it just, for me, there's 3 things I want to call out here. One, something changed in the match. Okay, the guys agreed between themselves what was the action after the situation with dump off. at that point, the first thing is going to be when the dice start rolling against you and you get the momentum on your side, which Phil did, it just carries you, and it can seem really challenging. On that side of it, the second thing is you still have to know what to do. You can't just roll the dice and pray and hope all the time and go mad and just do things. So kudos for Phil, because, you know, been a tough season in terms of, I think it was 8 losses in a row. I know he had the bye in the octo finals as well, but still to come along to this, and let's be honest, before this match, we all thought it was Justin's to lose, because on paper they were very skilled up elves. Justin knew it, and only a few weeks prior there had been a 6-1 massacre really from the elves onto the snotlings. So everything was there, which is the beautiful thing about this game. Things can change. So that's the second thing. And the third thing, I just want to take a moment to shout out to Justin, because despite the numbers going down, he kept in there, he kept playing, he kept supporting, even to the point whereby he was encouraging Phil. And again, shout out to Mark and the magnificent Scott Norman as well, for putting in chat the donation gift that if the Giants scored a touchdown, they would donate serious money to the charity cause as well. And Justin was great in terms of, he didn't let it happen, but he was encouraging Phil in terms of doing it and what needed to be done. And by some unknown blessing of Nuffle, their ball got to the Giant. The Giant didn't fail a bonehead. The Giant did not fail a rush, and just put the icing on the cake. So I think it was a match that you will talk about. We all will for a very long time. So Phil, kudos, great game for you, but also a great game in terms of the spirit of the community in the game for Justin as well.
Well, just the one win for Phil up to this point. This is the only win he got that wasn't as part of a roll-off, but it was enough to get him into the final. And the conference final was a very, very close game indeed, going all the way to extra time, but a win for Smoking a Pancake, the Dark Elves, against the Snotling side. 2-1 victory, 8-3 on casualties. But if you look at the map at the top here, look at how many of those casualties came in the very last few turns. The game did seem to turn in extra time, and the elves were just removing snotlings left, right, and center. Scott, why don't you tell us how this one unfolded?
This was a tough match. I'm not going to lie. This was a really tough match. We saw in the previous match how, playing the Snotlings can be really difficult. I didn't know what Phil was going to pick. I was expecting something like Hack Flem or someone like Skitter to give him that movement 9 pace. So he picked Hack Flem, no surprise there. He chose actually Glart Smart Strip. I've only played Glart once myself, and he got killed on his first failed block. Never played him before against that. And then the Giants as well. Plus, Phil rolled Max on Riotous Rookies. And and just to shout this out, on the first turn, and go back and watch it if you want. So, played it sensibly. Ball went deep, went back, put a couple of players around the ball, picked up the ball. And kudos to Phil. He decided to go for a throw bomb, and he nailed it with a perfect 6. So I blew up my ball carrier, who was 11 squares away. So I thought, what's the chance of that happening? So fair dues, Phil did that. Then he threw teammate with his Stiltskin runner, landed it perfectly, went, picked up the ball, rush. Thank you very much, 1-0. And that was it. Before you know it, it was like straight on. And as you said, Chris, if you look at the progress of it, so for me it was just like keep the ball, keep the control, and gradually take off a casualty one step at a time. I did target Hack Flem. I can do, and again it was the Prince of Ipswich, Dave who did the honours with injury, so missed next game. So Hack Flem was off. I then we went down the sideline, and Phil tried to rush Glart to get round to put some cover in there. Glart failed a rush, fell over, and then of course it, as it always does with star players when you play them, straight to armor break, straight to casualty, straight to death. Bye-bye. So that was the end of Glar, who'd been a bit of a pain, not literally, but a metaphorical pain in the arse up until that point as well. I'd had, a few casualties, and then the giant. So every time I thought I was getting ahead in terms of some numerical and strength, the giant or someone else would do it. But good old Tom Hovell came to the fore, the man who turned the game really. Turn 8 got his touchdown as well. By that time, because obviously with Phil scoring on turn 1, he actually lost one of his bombers. Because he scored on one of his turn 1, of course, the bomber failed the argue the call. So by half time, he was sent off. Phil did go again for the 1-turn touchdown. Unfortunately, on that occasion, the troll made the throw. The blobby Stillskin got the ball, went for a dodge, failed to dodge out, and again, then went down, crashed, and was suddenly out of it. But even then, in terms of the numbers, trying to get hold of the ball, and I think several times to strip the ball, got the ball out from the snotling. It just wasn't able to pick it up. The amount of bodies on the around the ball and swarming, it was just a real gummed up the middle of the pitch. And as you can see, turn 12, another casualty for the Snots. So I was starting to lose a few people. That was John Reeder, the man, myth, the legend. Evening, John, if you're in as well. But again, Dave Brew comes to John's rescue, and you probably won't hear that too many times on a Blood Bowl pitch as well. So it got to extra time. It got to just that wearing and that attrition, and then by the time we got to, couldn't quite force that last score from either of us as well. So we went to extra time, and then it was really just about, for me, it was starting to make a few casualties. Had the ball, kept the ball, and just kept hold of the ball, kept going down the pitch until forced that score on turn 24. And that was really about it, really. And then Phil couldn't do anything. Did go to throw a throw teammate at the end, who unfortunately was dead. But apart from that, it was a very long slog it was a very tough match.
Tom, it's tricky because Snotlings can rely a little bit on the star players. You do often, they do bring something to the team, and there's normally a bit of a reason why you have so many. And often do end up facing 2. So it is tough when by turn 6 they are both off and no longer in play. So Phil's done very well here to then kind of cling on against a team. Elves can punish you, so to kind of cling on to extra time and then lose out largely to attrition is quite an impressive feat.
Yeah, because again, as Scott said, so the thing with Snotlings is they do, quite rightly, gum up the works. Even without the star players, there's so many of them, and you just can't swish them all in the right amount of time. Just got a question to Scott, because you kind of had a bit of a roller coaster ride with these Dark Elves. You felt they weren't the team for you right at the very beginning. Did they bring you round?
Yes, but it took a lot of convincing, to be honest. Again, when we talked a few moments ago about Mark and the Woody's development, I drew my first 2, lost my second 2 as well, and it was difficult in terms of being in a position whereby you are behind the development where you want to be, what skills you want to put on these players, and it is better to be specific where you can rather than randoming. Hence, I had to random a few skills where I had SP to try and at least stay in the game at points. Some work better than others. I mean, having a blitzer with safe pair of hands and defensive, it's not the worst in the world, but not the best. If you look at them, one of the linemen, I had sure feet sidestep, great, really, really good in terms of, giving yourself a pretty realistic movement A piece. And just to shout out, because Tom Huns has asked it, yes, it was Jack Huns who scored the winning touchdown. Thank you very much indeed. So another celebration for the Huns family. When you get used to them, how they play, it is slightly different than Woody's. Will I take them again? Yeah, I'll probably run them again, especially with some of the new changes coming up that we've been seeing leaked online for season 3 as well. So it was an interesting one as well. It's taken a long time converting though to them, Tom.
Okay.
But again, it was worth a season to give them a go as well. Would I take them again and redraft them? If there was the opportunity to redraft them, I think there might be 1 or 2 out of that team there, not everybody, I would redraft as well.
Well done to the Snotling team for what is an impressive comeback to make it to the final after the group stage that they had. And many congratulations, Scott, for being our season 9 conference champion. Very well deserved.
Thank you.
Narrowly missed out a few seasons ago with those Wood Elves, but very much deserves this title. So congratulations, sir. Let's have a look.
Just one more thing, because he is in chat. Just for Tom Hans, Tom, so you're not disappointed. I did roll plenty of 1-into-1s during the match. I think it was 3 or 4. So just to keep up with what has been a bit of a theme this particular year as well, because the dice really those first few matches, the dice were pretty awful.
Well, I hope everyone who's watching likes Snotlings versus Dark Elves, because our next semi-final that we're looking at for the Champions Cup is Snotlings versus Dark Elves. And it was the Melton Mudpackers versus the Claws of Khorne. We've seen one game, what can happen when all the Snotlings start to leave the field. We're now seeing a game as to what can happen when all of the Dark Elves leave the field. It was a 2-0 victory, 4-1 on casualties. And Andy was absolutely hemorrhaging players in this game. A 2-0 victory for the Snotling side that have been playing this season, unashamedly playing the way that we know Snotlings can be played. Hack, Flem and Moore coming in, riotous rookies. He's got 2 absolute superstars there. He's got the rookies. And Andy Scott has really nailed how to use this build. He does it really well. He's done the research, and there's a reason why he gets all the way to the final here, because he just put in a shift with a team that is very, very difficult to play against, and everyone knows it is difficult to play against.
It is, and shout out to Andy, as in Dark Elves Andy as well. Listening to the feedback from both coaches in Discord about this game as well, the dice were really going against Andy. So as you said, when the dice aren't your friend on a particular night as well, someone like Snotlings Andy is really going to exploit that when he's got Morg, when he's got Hack, Flem as well, and when he's got the that lethal pump wagon. He's really going to take advantage of any particular mistake and any gap that you might give him as well. So we've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about it. If you are going to come up against a Snotling team, their USP is they will be bringing Morg, they will be bringing Hack Flem, they will be bringing Varag, they will be bringing whoever it is, Gobbo, Skitter. They will be bringing these star players. People know what they're going to be bringing as well. So it's how do you do that? And they're not the pushover team on that everybody thinks on paper they always are going to be as well. And Andy has really he's been open, he's been honest about it, and kudos to him for showing what can be done with him.
Tom, Dark Elf Andy here has had a phenomenal season. He had a really strong group stage, topping our group sort of relatively comfortably, and making it all the way to this semi-final. He's built a really good team here, and we didn't know a lot about Andy before he turned up because it was his first season with us. A lot of us had met him at tournaments before, but his first season with us, and not many people will have as good a inaugural season in the A&DBBL as Andy has had.
No, absolutely. He has played this team very well. He clearly knows how to play Dark Elves. He kept his kind of powder dry when it came to SPP rather than randomizing it. He was building up a good team. Dodge, so both blitzers are blodgers and a sidestep one. He kept holding on, put wrestle on a couple of line elves and a wrestle on the witch elf as well as strip ball. So it's all of that tactical play that he had, leader as well on the runner. So he was doing all the right things at the right time. His whole group stages. He started off with a loss, but then picked himself up and had about 4 consecutive wins on the bounce. And then it kind of steadied out. So yeah, it really interesting. I played against him, obviously, same as yourself, and that was a very kind of interesting game that I played against him. He won 3-0 on that occasion, and you really knew that this is a person who knows how to play Blood Bowl, not only just Dark Elves.
Yeah, a phenomenal season from him, and unfortunate to come up against a Snotling team on an incredible run of form, going into the game as the only unbeaten team and going into the final as the only unbeaten team in the league as well. But who would he face in the final? That was going to be down to either the Tipsy Tankards or 5 Rules of Dodge, and the Dark Elf side came away with a 2-0 victory here, 3-0 on casualties. And Scott, we have to immediately say it's not very often that Robert, with this Norse Tipsy Tankers sides, gets out-cashed by someone else. So a phenomenal job for Tom to have kept him at bay and, remove some key people as well.
Yeah, this Tom, and then again, big shout out to Tom as well for winning the Suffolk Subterranean. So 24 hours after that victory with his vampires into this double header, which is a big thing for the Sunday as well. And maybe we need to think about this as possibly something going forward as well. Who knows? Having the semis and the finals on the same day, what a thing. We had talked about it as well. I know that Tom had also taken everybody's favorite mad wizard, Horatio Schottenheim. How did he do, Tom? No one really mentioned that. Was he useful, or was he just a scatter off the pitch and nothing really happened for 80k?
I believe the wizard did remove I believe it did the job that he wanted it to do, but I'll let Tom confirm.
Cool. So I think it's something we talked about. We've seen Tom this season, unlike Andy in terms of the development of the team. Andy's been very selective about getting a skill or skills spread across a number. Tom has sort of gone the opposite. He's focused on, 3 or 4 key individuals and really built a team around them. So all of his blitzers have dodge on there. You've got, then it's randomized as well. Well, dodge tackle. Great one. Dodge jump up always gives you that, that 3 extra, so you don't have to use them as well. 1 tackle witch elf, which is just fantastic as well. And we'll come on to talk about the rest of the team shortly. So yeah, it was really, really good. We know how lethal the tankers have been this year. So the fact that even that Tom was getting casualties himself, so Robert was inflicting because he killed a dark elf as well at turn 12. It was very, very nip and tuck, but I think to control the game that we've seen from Mr. Hunt so often, we've seen it with his vampires, we've seen it with his Amazons as well, and to see it with the Dark Elves as well. It's that real classic 2-1 grind, almost that base. So he scores his touchdown at turn 8 to get that for himself as well. And then if he can strip the ball, get the ball, score late, yeah, it's a real lesson in terms of how to play some top quality Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Commiserations for Robert, and honestly, I hope he does bring some of these. It would be a shame that he doesn't bring the tankers back, although obviously he can't bring them back all skilled.
Got some notes from Tom in chat. So the wizard took out his ball carrier and the back of his cage. So I blitzed, then got the ball and ran. It was perfect. Complete opposite of my last game with Robert in the group stage, where I couldn't dodge and he'd break armor every turn. He barely broke armor and I barely failed a dodge. Sounds like a perfect Sunday.
A word on Robert then for I think there's a good chance we won't see Robert in season 10. He fit this season in sort of as being back from university over the summer, managed to fit the games in, came back from university just for the weekend so that he could play these games. And Tom, he is a very, very strong coach. He knows how to punch his way through. And this is his 3rd time he's got through to the last 4 in the tournament. He's really built something interesting with this team. And yeah, it's a shame we're not going to see this version of it again.
No, you're right. But I'm sure we'll see the new kind of, 2.0 tipsy tankards very soon, somewhere, either in a tournament or in a further season, because it's something that really works for him. He does like the Norse team. It's interesting when you play these seasons that certain people jump around with different races, try different tactics, go from an Edge to a Bashi team, etc., etc. But Robert's just constantly been one of those players that was kept to one particular team, and then moved to a team, and then straight away gone back to the Tipsy Tankards straight afterwards, because he's realised that the Norse team are his team. It just sounds like it's just unfortunate that the rolls of the dice went one way.
Well, huge congratulations to Robert for what has been another really solid season. We'll miss him in season 10 if we don't have him, but I'm sure we will see him in a future season if it time's right. And well done to Tom. He gets through then to the final, which was a incredibly close game, as you can see here. 2-2 the final score after extra time, 5-3 on casualties to the Dark Elves here. The Snotling side bringing inducements of Morgan Hackflem, Riotous Rookies and a Bribe, as they have done before. The Dark Elves took the lead on turn 8, turn 16 for Hackflem to level the game, turn 20 the Dark Elves score, and then turn 24 Morg scores on turn 24 in order to get the equalizer. And the game, I mean, it was very close. It was very tight. There were a number of us stood around. It went to a roll off. It's the first final that we have ever had that has gone to a roll off. And that roll off looked like it was going the Snotlings' way, who went 2-0 up, but then it was won by the Dark Elf 3-2. All sorts of drama in this one, a fantastic one to follow. And Tom, we've done Snotlings versus Dark Elves has come up so many times this season. We had 2 Snotling teams, we had 5 Dark Elf teams. It kind of made sense that we were gonna maybe see a Dark Elf team in the final. The odds were in their favor. Tom really knows how to play Edge, and he has done it well.
Yeah, and with all of that you just mentioned, there's one little thing. The Melton Mudpackers got an expensive mistake right at the beginning and lost 240k and still managed to field that inducement pack. That is an insane amount of money that they've accumulated over the season. It is a really great game to watch, so I'd highly recommend going and have a look later. But it sounds like it was a bit of a classic Clash of Titans, where you've got star players doing what star players do, causing casualties, scoring touchdowns, but then equally you've got Tom with these Dark Elves. And I didn't mention previously, but I was really interested to see how Tom built this Dark Elf team, because whereas other people, if they lose characters or team members, they would try and save up and then quickly buy a player as soon as possible. He held on to, I think about at one point he was down to like 4 or 5, and he just had a whole load of kind of journeymen sitting needing to field a team. But clearly the 4 or 5 players that he held on to and built up really came to their own in this game.
Scott, Andy now has what is if we kind of remove if we remove roll-offs and a result being won or lost by a roll-off, Andy will have the title, the probably unenviable title of being the probably one of the only people who have gone unbeaten in a league season and not come out as champion. It's an unfortunate title to have, but he has played this team well, and he just came up against a coach who knows how to play the team that he's got and has played it very well.
I agree, Chris. I think I just want to reiterate what Tom said there. If anyone is listening to this, if you are in the A&DBBL, if you're outside the A&DBBL, even in Dazamac, even in Lord Pat Van Der East, and everybody else are there as well. if you've got a few hours, you need something to listen to, watch, have it in the background while you're painting or building models for season 3. Listen to this one. It is an exceptional match. I think it's the third match that we've gone through to a roll-off in terms of finishing, and it's the third match whereby one player has gone 2-0 up in terms of the rolls of a best of 5, and then the other opposition ultimate winner comes through and wins the next 3 rolls on the trot. Incredible stuff. It really, really was. A big shout out to both coaches. Andy for everything he does in terms of his artistry. For if you want to go back and watch the little video he did of his snotling puppet as well. All of the fun and the entertainment, that he brings. So he's an absolute pleasure of a coach to play against as well. And then Mr. Huns is, Mr. Huns is Mr. Huns. He's an absolute superstar. He is he was the Prince of Vampires. Then he was the Lord of the Amazons, and now he's like, he's the King of the Delves, really, isn't he? He is a phenomenal Blood Bowl player, and it's great to see him going from strength to strength for A&DBBL and etc. in other leagues, Langdon Games, tournaments now as well. So onwards and upwards. Maybe one day we'll all be here thinking, do you remember that young lad, Tom Huns, we all used to know, international super Blood Bowl star? What a guy as well. Well done for both. I think it was great and definitely worth going back to watch it.
Well done to Andy on what has been a incredible season. A masterclass in how to play this kind of snotling build, and based on the new rules, possibly a situation that we're not going to see again. We're not going to see this kind of snotling domination again, possibly in the new rule set based on the leaks. So, incredible result and well done to him. And Tom joins the ranks of multiple champions, the likes of Rich, the likes of John Reeder, as multiple A&DBBL champions, and very thoroughly deserved. The boy knows what he plays, and he plays Edge, and he plays it well, and he knows what to do with it. And he's done incredibly with, as we've said, a team that earlier in the season had maybe 5 or 6 players in it, and now he's built back up to this full terrifying roster that is capable of winning a title. So the utmost congratulations to you, Tom. Very, very well done. That is all of our games. That is all of the games from the A&DBBL. There's no more to cover. We will be back next week, however, for our end of season review, as we do every season. We'll start at the group stage again. We'll look at the groups, we'll look at the stats, we'll look at everything and see what a season it has been. But that's it for today. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Scott is interrupting me in my outro. Yes, Scott?
Just a reminder to everybody, praise to Nuffle Sunday in A&DBBL from 5 o'clock for the awards and usual indignitaries. There is the Stunty 7 Cup, which is also being held on Sunday. If you do want to take part, pop to into store. No excuse now because all the train works have been finished. So go as you see fit. However, remember Tuesday, tomorrow, first day of the month. So Mr. Phipps, I don't know if he's going to be open tomorrow. But anyway, get yourself down there, spend lots of money. We'll see you Sunday. We will have mugs if you want to buy them. Leanne and Joe, if you're online listening or what have you, your mugs will be there ready for you. Simon, I'm expecting you to buy several. Thank you very much.
A very worthwhile reason to interrupt me. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next time.